Hello and welcome to another edition of the Formula One Fans UK podcast. I'm Reese and I am joined today by
Dan
and Danny.
I am not Ron Burgundy. I have not got an auto prompter in front of me, and I'm just a bit surprised we're podcasting this weekend after the race being cancelled. Definitely the right call. Of course, our thoughts go out to all those affected in the Emilia-Romagna region. It's about time F1 got one of these weather decisions right, to be honest, because they should have done this with Belgium and didn't. And, they've learned from the lessons of history. Anyway, let's get into what we're going to talk about.
What are we going to talk about?
See, for those that are paying attention, Danny doesn't pay attention. We know what we're talking about, Danny. Come on now.
Well, you put the stuff in the chat of what we're going to talk about, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Ever professional here, guys. Ever professional.
As there is no race this weekend, we're going to look back at some of our favourite wet weather races, drives, and also rank who we feel are the best drivers on the grid, with the exception of Hamilton and Verstappen in the wet, because with those two, it's not really close to anyone else. So, Danny, you kick us off. Your favourite wet weather drive that you've seen in Formula One?
So in this list, we can't include Lewis in any of these lists.
Oh,
right?
no, we can include Lewis. I'm just saying when we rank at the end.
My favorite wet weather drive of all time is 2008 Silverstone. That's my favorite. But then in my honorable mentions, 2020 Turkey and also 2016 Brazil was just a great wet weather race for some of the top drivers there, for Max as well. Kind of his breakout race of him breaking out in the wet, and Lewis just controlling that race from beginning to end, considering the circumstances, being down to Nico, who was leading the championship at the time. This will be a 2008 Silverstone. Lewis won by over a minute, lapped everyone over the field up to third place, and I think it was Honda got a podium that day. Rubens.
Brilliant strategy call.
Yeah, brilliant strategy call. And just also Honda they had two good drivers. Their driver pair that year were really good in the wet, and Button had. There's another wet weather drive is Hungary 2006, Jensen's first win as well, in the Honda team, which was great moment for him, and it's a great wet weather drive.
Yeah, I've got to agree with, especially 2008, probably one of the greatest wet weather drives, especially considering how fresh in the sport Lewis Hamilton was back then. I mean, now he drives well in the wet and no one is surprised, but back then I don't think anyone quite saw the performance coming which he put in. Dan, what's your favourite wet weather drive?
See, I'm torn between two. Either the 2010 Chinese GP or 2007 European Grand Prix, wasn't it? Nürburgring? Right, I'm going to go 2007 because I'm pretty sure that was the year.
Which driver?
Lewis. Because...
Didn't Lewis not finish that race?
Yes, but did he also not wait in his car for someone to push him out of the gravel or move him out of the gravel? Did he? They told him to turn the engine off, and he was like, absolutely fucking not. Get my car out of this fucking gravel pit now. And also, obviously, in that one, they had like multiple red flags, and I'm pretty sure every driver and his cousin spun out on that corner. It was just, it was a quality race, in my opinion.
So, Dan, the question was your favourite wet weather drive, not favourite wet weather race.
Yes, but my favourite wet weather race and my favourite wet weather drive is the same. 2007.
Got you. No worries.
Lewis Hamilton.
Can I piggyback on that? I think
Yeah.
Alonso's drive on that race was amazing.
I thought Alonso's was a cracking drive.
Yeah, of course. But that year, in that race, I think Massa ended up inheriting the lead, and Alonso just drove the hell out of that McLaren, especially in the changing conditions, to have a great battle with Massa in the end. They had that famous incident in the waiting room. They had to be separated by Ron Dennis. That was pretty funny.
Because didn't Massa pit with like a 4-second lead or something like that? And then they just ended up just all going wrong, didn't it?
I think it was that race.
But
No,
it's
it's just
like,
I know. Like Kimmy in that race also had his mistake where he missed a pit, the entrance where he cut straight through in Nürburgring in the final turn. That was pretty funny.
that is literally one of the races when there's no racing. I search online to watch that race just over and over. I just love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this week when they were practically swimming in Italy.
That was rough. Extreme flooding, the whole pit. F2's garage were flooded out. If anybody knows, Imola sits right on the river. Don't ask me the name of the river because I don't know. But it's hard to do any any changes on that track on that level because of the proximity to the river.
What's your favorite wet weather drive then, Reese?
So I was really torn on this. I was thinking, what was my favourite wet weather drive, because Hamilton's had some great ones, Verstappen's had some great ones. I look back for my favourite drive and I think, well, what was truly flawless? I don't say Hamilton 2008. I remember him going off then. I don't say Verstappen in Germany 2020, because even though that was a phenomenal drive where everyone else was crashing on the drag strip and both Mercedes had issues in the anniversary race with the special livery. For me, I think I had to go quite a way back, and for me, second place is Senna 1984 Monaco in the Tolman. I thought that was a phenomenal drive, and he was robbed of a win that day. But for me, Schumacher Spain 1996, I think is the best wet drive ever in Formula One. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. I watched that race back and I'm in disbelief of how he did it. I look at the other ones and think, oh, okay, I can see it's tricky, but no, this one I was just in pure disbelief.
That was not a good Ferrari, if I remember correctly. That was not
Shocking.
A good Ferrari. Yeah. And that was his first win with Ferrari, I believe.
I'm not sure if it was his first. I think it might have been. Of course, they were a nowhere team back then. It was shortly after he left Benetton. Probably some eyebrows raised because he's a double world champion with Benetton. He goes to Ferrari, and it's not exactly worked out. But then this race and this win was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely.
Now we know how Charles and Carlos feel.
The only difference is that when it rains, one of them will always crash.
They don't have a team, and they have a team of solid engineers with them in Ferrari compared to what they had back then.
They had Binotto. Pretty sure Binotto would have been in the team back then. He definitely was in. He was definitely there in the Schumacher days of Ferrari, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in there in the early 2000s.
Early 2000s,
sure.
So bit before his time, maybe then. Ugh. Maybe Binotto was the solution. Bringing in Binotto was what turned them into winners.
Just thinking, actually, on the race that I picked, was it not the race where Winkelhock led a lap?
Yes.
Yes, Marcus Winkelhock.
The one time
before the race started. Took on pitted for wets or inters?
Full wets.
Full wets.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also forgot to mention 93 Donington.
Yeah.
Of course, the legendary opening lap.
Probably one of the best ever.
Alain Prost 7 times, I think, went to the pits in that race.
What year did you say?
93.
93, yeah.
At Donington.
Yeah.
Had a cool Sega Sonic trophy as well.
Speaking of iconic opening laps in wet weather races, Kimi Räikkönen, Portugal. It was is it Portimao?
Portimao, yeah. He started 16th.
16th to 7th or 6th in the first lap or something like that.
16 to 6, something like that. Yeah.
So, and it was like he was just driving a different car. It was like he was driving a Red Bull, and everyone else wasn't.
Yeah, he I think he battled Leclerc in Sector 1 in that race, and he got ahead of him. And Leclerc was in a Ferrari.
Yeah, right. I just remember Raikkonen absolutely. I mean, he had a knack for that, though, didn't he? He was always a very good wet weather driver.
Yeah, that's another great career with Kimi. Get into a good retrospective of him, the Iceman.
What is Kimi doing now, anyway? He's still
Father of the Year.
Yeah, Father of the Year.
He doesn't leave his sons abandoned random gas stations. It has been confirmed. Robin, right? I think it's his son's name.
Yeah,
Ferrari champion in 2032, right?
probably.
Probably about the only time they start to win a race.
Oh,
2032.
thanks. Hit me in the fields, why don't you? Not even racing Ferrari are taking an L this weekend.
Yeah, but they needed to go with a scuba team. Fuck it. Fuck upgrades from Mercedes.
That's one thing I think was sure. But Mercedes, they of course had their upgrades coming in this weekend. Would have had their ones coming in this weekend. Same with Ferrari. They would have had their new rear suspension coming in this weekend. I think another team had a new floor they were going to bring in. I can't remember who.
Don't say Red
But
Bull.
no, it wasn't Red Bull. No,
Don't need another new floor.
someone else was bringing another floor in. I think it might have been Alfa Romeo. Do you know you've got these upgrades ready and available? Do you take them out to Monaco, or do you wait until Barcelona?
No, I think you take them out. You still want to take them out. You still want to have some kind of running, but I know the setup in Monaco is going to be. Monaco's very. The track is very, dependent on the car setup. But I think you have to bring it and try it.
Yeah, but is it worth wasting the time trying upgrades that you know aren't going to be on the car?
They need to get numbers. They need to get data on him.
How much data can you get? Sorry, American. How much data can you get from?
Got him.
How much data can you get from a race like Monaco or a track like Monaco? It's not like you're going to go around with the aero rakes on to see how it's all performing, are you? And more to the point, I think with these new parts, they're not holding them back and then make until they've got multiple spares. They will have like maybe one or two of each part. Do you want to risk that at Monaco? Well, you've got the walls where it could all go wrong and you could rip up your many, many, many months of hard work.
Yeah.
If it's me, I'm saving them. Monaco's the wrong kind of track to be testing those kind of parts. Really, it's just a try not to crash track, isn't it? Really, like I love Monaco for the sentimental value of it and for all that kind of stuff regarding the sport, but it's a bollocks track. It really is. Like
the cars are too big for it. They've outgrown the track.
Yeah, it's just it needs to go off the calendar. Put another track on the calendar and get rid of Monaco. But it's all the pompous and parade of it all and the casino and the water and the yachts and stuff like it. It's a great experience. I've been a couple of times, but as a race, it's going to be shit.
Yeah. Well, there would definitely be a lot of money being moved around that weekend.
When we had a choice on like the third year to go to Spa or Monaco, and I was like, mate, let's just go to Spa. And at least you're going to get like some decent high speed racing, whereas the fastest bit in the Monaco Grand Prix is a tunnel, isn't it? That's literally it. Other than that, it's corner, stop, corner. That's just, yeah.
I mean, it's a challenge at Monaco, and the qualifying day at Monaco is the main attraction, and the qualifying at Monaco is worth every second that you spend watching it. But the race is a procession, and all you're doing is hoping that you will get something that will come and mix it up. A rain shower or something might come in, and people have to time when they're going to pit, because you can just be at front, manage your pace, manage your tyres. The car behind you pits for the undercut, and you just that's when you go.
I have a question. So if we were to hypothetically get rid of Monaco, what track would you bring back that isn't on the calendar now that could give better racing than Monaco?
Portimao.
That was very quick, Reese. Danny?
Track in Germany, Hockenheim. It's a big market, underrepresented. There's no track there right now. Yeah, they lost Vettel, they lost Mick. It'd be a shame to see, Germany, the excitement in Germany dwindle down. So I think a track there would be great.
It's struggled with the fan base. It's struggled with funding.
Mm.
I just don't see a German race being, a big feature at the moment, and something that's going to come back and stick around. It just doesn't. I mean, they they shared the contract, didn't they, to try and
Mhm.
ease the costs. It just seems like something they couldn't do. Portimao, for me, I say Portimao. Another one, of course, people do love Istanbul Park, but I feel like if you're taking Monaco out, you've got to put a European race. So yeah, if you weren't going
Has to be
Portimao, I'd
European,
say
yeah.
Germany.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
don't-
It has to be a European race. I agree.
Dan, which track would you go for?
See, I would go for a non-European race, but that's only because I just like to throw curveballs. What track do we currently race at when we go to Japan? Or do we not race at Japan?
We
Is it
pay,
China?
we race at Japan. Of course, we race at Suzuki, but I'm guessing you're thinking of Fuji.
Yes.
You go to Fuji.
I like that track very, very much.
I would, if we're going into Asia, I liked Fuji, but I was a massive fan of the Malaysian circuit, Sepang.
Same.
I thought that was a phenomenal track. It's one of my favourites to drive on the games. It was, even though it was an absolute bitch to try and do. I mean, turn 16? The left-hander just every time caught you out. Horrible corner on the racing.
That's
racing
because
game.
you race too much with Tim. Tim doesn't play well with others.
Oh no, I couldn't race online. I couldn't race with Tim on F1. That'd just be asking for trouble. He crashes far too much. The new front wing every. That's why we stick to Wreckfest.
Shout out to Tim out there chilling, probably on the beer. I don't know. Shout out to Chris as well. Still in hospital, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
still recovering. He'll be back soon to irritate us, I'm sure.
Yeah, I can't wait, boys. I can't wait. Nah, I'm only joking. I do miss these little motherfuckers. Because I just come out of my tin hat theories. I need someone like Danny or Chris to keep me in check.
That's true.
I messaged Chris a couple weeks ago because obviously I hadn't done the first couple of podcasts, and it's been a while since I heard him. Definitely a while.
Chris, I'm sure will be back soon. Stronger than ever, I'm sure as well. You know, that man is tenacious. So he's fighting. I think his fighting spirit could honestly be an inspiration to a lot of people. I look now at where I've had the IndyCar on the TV in the background. The Sky adverts come on the back. Sky Sports F1. It's that Hamilton double overtake last year at Silverstone. And I just think, if we're talking tracks and tracks we bring in, is there a track in the world that you think you would rather than adding a current grade 1 track, you would invest, bring it up to grade 1 and add that to the calendar instead?
So you say any track in the world.
Any track in the world,
and
with the exception of
and bring it to F1 spec.
Bring it to F1 spec, yeah. So with the exception of like your current
Home
ones,
track.
yeah. So yeah, any yeah. You can't put the go-karting tracks in there. We've already got Monaco for that.
I have a couple, but they're all stateside.
I'm guessing one is the Glen. Yeah, there's the Glen.
Obviously,
standard American answer.
It is because it's a track with a lot of prestige, history. It's in a beautiful place in upstate New York. It's just it is a great place. But then there's other ones. I give it to Road Atlanta, has a really good track. Virginia International, which is not far from me, found out. That's a really good track. Laguna Seca would be sick. See the cars go to the corkscrew, full beans, and then just having a downshift.
I reckon the cars are too big to even go through the corkscrew without bottoming out or taking a nose off.
Yeah, I don't think it would. A lot of scraping. But yeah.
Laguna Seca and Watkins Glen. Dan?
I'll be honest, I completely forgot how to say it, but it's the Portuguese circuit. The circuit
Estoril.
I love that circuit as well.
Bring back Estoril, huh?
Yeah. Why not? Because we need a bit of sun. We can do Barcelona, zip over to Portugal, and then just continue on our way. Be fine.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that makes too much sense for Formula One to do that. They'd have to go to America in between.
Fly 500 miles and then come back. Instead of going 100 miles up the road. Net zero in 50-54. Well done, F1.
Well, to you guys, what about any tracks in the UK?
Well, I was just going to say I've got two tracks that I would think of. One being Kyalami in South Africa.
Oh.
The other, Brands Hatch. If Brands Hatch could be renovated to have the infrastructure to handle an F1 weekend, that is a track with real history. For me, that's the one that you would say, yes, like Brands Hatch. I mean, imagine having 2 races in the UK. We'd sell out no problem, even with the way that F1 are hiking their prices up at the moment.
Yeah.
See, I'd go with Donington. Although I think it would take more investment to bring that one up to scratch. I think that would definitely be an amazing track to get back to, just for like the nostalgic of it all. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll move on to another topic we had lined up, which was our favourite wet weather race. Dan, of course, you said yours being 2007 Nürburgring.
Yeah, I kind of jumped the gun on that one. So
you had the same answer.
I'm
Somehow Hamilton's nightmare drive, but his tenacity was what made it your favourite wet weather drive.
It was just an amazing race where everyone had a shit day, and yet it red flag. They made it out the end. They finished the race, and I just think it was just one of them races where like you watch it back, or if by chance you haven't seen it and you want to watch it back just to see what we're chatting about, it's one of them races that like you never lose interest in it. You don't think, oh, like, this is getting boring now. Like it's just I love it.
I remember during lockdown when we did some watch parties, didn't we? And that was one of the races that we found and were able to show. Danny, what's your favourite wet weather race?
Wet weather race. 2008 Brazilian Grand Prix.
Ooh, that's a strong answer. That's a strong answer.
So let me tell you the benefits out of all of them. Without bias here, Massa had to do he did what he had to do. Got pole. He earned pole. He earned the victory, a commanding victory. I think he was ahead of Hamilton by 43 seconds at one point in the final stages of the race. Insane. So he did what he had to do. Alonso had ended up in second or third in that Renault that suddenly found its pace towards the second half of the season. You get to see Vettel. Vettel won his first race, a couple months before that, and now he's coming in with a lot of momentum. There's already, confirmation that he's going to be in Red Bull next year, so he's obviously driving with enthusiasm. And then there's Hamilton, who just has to end up in 5th place to score victory. And then the skies decided to open, and we had a historical finish, and great race.
Because this is the race where Hamilton had to come through the field to finish in 5th, even though Massa had come first, and we were just watching the places, weren't we, trying to rack up the points?
Trying to work it, yeah.
And then Massa's dad smacks the Ferrari sign and like smashes it all off. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that was a mechanic, wasn't it? There was the angry mechanic whilst Massa's father just stood there in disbelief. I'm trying to think what year it was now, actually. Hamilton's first win in Brazil. What year was that?
2016.
16. That was a great race. That was probably one of my favorite wet races.
Yeah.
That or the German Grand Prix, the Mercedes nightmare. Even though one of my favorite drivers, the one I wanted to win the championship that season, because let's face it, Carlos Sainz was definitely not going to do it back then. Being Hamilton, I was thinking, oh yes, he'll get some points. And it just turned into a nightmare. But when you watch that race back, Verstappen span and won, and it wasn't like where he'd spin and win just to prove that he could spin and win. This is the case, he span and won. Couldn't believe that he was on the wrong tires or the right tires, and was very angry about it. Continued to win, but Vettel drove from, I think it was 20th to 2nd. Absolutely outstanding drive in a race where everyone else was bidding it off. Vettel also having the very recent heartbreak of crashing there, out from the lead. I thought that was a cracking race, but I think it was for all the right reasons as well. It wasn't like anyone was having big offs that were, apart from the Bottas one, of course, that was a mega crash.
Yeah.
All the other offs felt quite controlled. It was just quite entertaining. Whereas, of course, the Brazil 2016, when there were the crashes in that race, you had, of course, every single one was right at the top of the hill, and it was like oh no, this could be disastrous. Every time you had your heart in your mouth. I mean, Raikkonen losing it across on the pit straight, nearly getting collected by, was it Ocon or
In the
Pascal
manner.
Wehrlein in the manner? Yeah.
Yep.
And of course, you had Grosjean crashing before the race. But you know what else is new?
At least when Max does it, he's able to get back on.
That was some.
Because Max is 30 seconds ahead of everyone else, minimum.
Where in that race?
No, like in one of the latest ones, wasn't he? He spun out. Where was it? Australia?
He spun in Australia. He went off, but I remember last year, I'm trying to think which track it was. But he spun. He overtook Leclerc, spun, and then just overtook him again. Was it France?
So.
But going back to obviously like 2008, didn't 2008 have like a fair few wet races? Because I know we had Monaco,
Britain.
Oh, that's another great one.
Brazil, maybe as well.
Brazil was wet. Was Japan that year?
Yeah, Fuji.
Fuji was that year. Was that Fuji that year, or was it 2007?
No, was it wet 2007 and 2008?
Wait, no, yeah, my bad. 2007 it was wet. I don't know. I know Fernando won in 2008.
But yeah, that
in the Renault.
That's when global warming started. 2008.
Yeah. Let's look at the results. So Australia, dry. Malaysia, I'm pretty sure that was a dry race back then. Bahrain, Spain, Turkey. Then you had a wet Monaco. Canada, that was a dry race, wasn't it? 2008.
That was dry.
Maggie Cours in France.
Dry.
Britain, Germany, Hungary, Valencia, Belgium. That was dry, wasn't it?
No, Belgium was wet. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's when Kimi and Lewis in the last lap were battling. Kimi spun off, but Hamilton had that penalty from the lap before when he tried to overtake
No, that was
him.
2007. Yeah, it was a dry race in 2000. In 2000. Oh, hang on. What's that? Hamilton spins on the second lap.
It's 2008. Massa won that race in 2008. 2007 Belgium, Kimi won.
It was definitely a dry race in 2008. But yeah, Italy was wet, wasn't it? Vettel's first win.
Yeah.
And then you had Singapore dry. Japan was dry, I think.
Singapore, you have the most, the infamous moment. Piquet Jr. crashing. I know it's back on the news again because Massa trying to revisit that.
It should have been the race should have been discredited, but the problem is Massa didn't finish that race anyway. So to say
he got second,
a race that
third.
He had the fuel hose incident, didn't he?
Yeah, he did get back. He did get back on track.
Singapore Grand Prix 2000.
You just can't bring up that you won a title like 10 plus years later. Like just sat in bed feeling really down about yourself. Like, should we go steal the 2008 championship? Someone call the lawyers. Let's go. Dickhead.
The thing is, I'm just looking at it now. Massa 2008. It's Japan. I'm just trying to find it now. Singapore. Yeah, I mean he got conned out of it, didn't he? Of course, but then
he did get screwed out of it. That is the moment where he lost the title. Well,
I mean,
really.
Massa returned. He fought back to 13th. Massa did when he had the fuel,
right?
The fuel hose issue. But
Massa had issues in that year. In that 2008 race in Silverstone, he spun out 4 or 5 times. Couldn't. There were several races where he had opportunities to catch up to Lewis and to make ground on him and couldn't.
I think the thing is you don't lose a title over one race. You lose it over many things across the season. It's like when people say Hamilton lost the title to Verstappen because of Abu Dhabi. He lost the title because of brake magic in Baku. No, it's all of these things that cause you to lose. Getting stuck behind Alonso in Hungary. All these things, yeah.
Or not going to pit. Or
not going to pit, yeah.
Not going to the pits. Yeah. He could have been in first.
So we hope you've enjoyed hearing us talk about our favourite wet race memories. Of course, we've now got a double header to look forward to. We did expect a chaotic triple header. We got chaos, sadly for all the wrong reasons in Imola. But, as long as that region is given what it needs by Formula One to help it recover. I know they have made a donation. Hopefully they probably pledge some more. The guys at Alpha Tauri, brilliant seeing them get all involved in cleaning up the streets. But until next time, thank you very much for listening. Thank you to our podcast sponsors, Apex Tracks, who always help us out. ApexTracks.com, APEXTIAXS.com is their website. They are well worth checking out for all your 3D printed track wall art needs. But yeah, until next time, if you'd like hearing what we had to say, check out the link in our bio. Until next time, cheerio, guys.
See you later, guys.
Peace.